Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Local Influencers Podcast. I'm your host, Abel, and on today's podcast, I have Tina La Cochina. Tina, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for inviting me.
For
I'm
sure.
honored.
Yeah, so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, so this is my sixth season. I do not think that I have had anyone like in stand up or comedy in that form of art on the show. And so
Oh, I'm the first.
yes, I think you are. I'm more than sure you are. And so that's exciting. Yeah, I love a good first, especially six seasons in, so that's good. Um
Yeah.
so Tina, first of all, I have to say I am obsessed with your name. Okay, like Tina, like what you like that is right away, like what you're getting into with your your branding. I love that, by the way. So I want to start something that I always do is like start at the beginning of like how did you get started into the industry of comedy and kind of doing stand up and I know that sometimes like you host comedy events and stuff. So tell me, how did you get your kind of foot in the door and how long have you been doing this?
Um, I think the first time I actually was introduced to it was through my friend Andy. I caught him. He was actually doing a show at a restaurant or kind of like a bar, um, and he told me, or he invited me to check out open mic. So I ended up going and checking out his open mic at Mesquite downtown, and he hosted one of the comedy shows. And then I had brought some friends, and they were like, "Man, Tina, you should try it. You should do it." And so it ended up kind of being like, "Man, it looks so fun." And I've always been a fan of stand-up comedy since I was really young. So it was kind of like a bucket list kind of thing. And I said, I don't even know what I would say when I would go up there. And my friends and coworkers, they're like, "Dude, you just say funny stories. So just go up there and do it." So sure enough, on my 30th birthday, I did open mic for the first time, and then I didn't. It was a blast, man. It was like an experience. Like I can't even describe it. It was so fun. And then I didn't do it again, but I was going to open mics and checking them out and supporting local comics and um, just attending more comedy shows and supporting local. And then I don't know, I ended up doing it again. I want to say maybe around 2017 or 18. I got back into it where I was signing up for open mic consistently because it's kind of like a weekly thing, and then it turns into like a daily thing, and it just I'm addicted. I ended up being addicted. So now I'm able to get booked for guest spots and feature for headliners and sometimes open, for people, and it's just amazing. Um, and through the pandemic, I want to say that it's really helped me too. Comedy is such a blessing if you can find humor in through the pandemic. So
Yeah, that's awesome. It kind of like happened like unexpectedly, unexpectedly like you kind of just tried it out and in a way you kind of because like you said that you started like attending the shows after that and supporting local comics. So in a way you were kind of studying in a way without really like people think that to go into some kind of art form or have a special craft that you have to have college or courses, and that's not necessarily true. You can just do what you did and go and support other locals and pull from them and learn and kind of make it your own, right? And so kudos to you for doing that because that is a very comedy is a very tough thing to do, right? I've watched a lot of documentaries with like more like like the bigger names like Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart and these bigger comics and they even said like they have moments that they still like fall flat, like they'll say a joke and it's just like silent and you're like, okay, awkward. And so um do you think that getting into it, and was it like the adrenaline rush of like the crowd reacting to your stories that kind of, like you said, you were addicted, you became addicted to it? Was it that adrenaline rush that you became like you were just like, oh my god, I need more of this, like I love this?
For sure, yes. I can say that even before I tried open mic, there's just there's just joy. I get joy from bringing joy to others. You know, when you make someone smile or make someone laugh, especially if they're having a hard time, it's really fulfilling. There's nothing like it, and I think I've enjoyed that even when I was really young. You know, I would. I ended up. I think I know it's cliche, but even in high school, I think I won like class clown because, you know, in high school, I think during high school we went through 9/11, so that's pretty traumatic. And so
Yeah.
trying to go every single day. There was a lot of changes. I ended up just making light of dark things, and that's a lot of my humor. If you come and check out a show, um, I know my stage name is Cochina, and you think, oh, she probably just talks dirty or whatever. But me and my friends, we really do talk about topics that get in there, and so it's nice to try to laugh through the pain or the darkness and stuff like that. We try to find the silver lining in all the bad situations and just see if we can
Ye-
make someone laugh about it.
Yeah, and Cochina is like you said, like people probably. I love your name because it's just like catchy and funny, but it's also like not necessarily like dirty talk or anything, but it's like the dirty situations in life. You know what I mean? Like it
Well,
could be
yeah,
like like you're finding like a dark sense of humor in like some quote like dirty thing. Like I don't mean dirty things, but I mean sometimes like you said, the pandemic. That's it's been tough for a lot of people. It's been tough for like
yeah,
people
yeah,
with mental health and stuff. And so like a dirty situation to me could be something like that. Like it's dark and it's finding that light or that funniness out of it. Like
yeah,
like people right now are just having a cackle with like the CDC. You see memes everywhere talking about the CDC and people are laughing about it, but it is scary. But it's just like, we have to laughter heals the soul. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah. Don't worry, Abel. I do have dick jokes, so
oh,
um,
I'm sure, I'm
you'll have
sure.
to come in and check out a show. I mean, me and my friends, we make fun of everything. So there's no limits to what we go, what we can talk about. So I know, like, I think the reason that, well, I know one of the reasons I do it is to help cope with real life events and stuff like that. So getting on stage and making other people laugh, and if they can relate to you, if they're going through something and we can make fun of it, and they're like, you know what, that happened to me too.
Yeah,
It's cool. It just, we relate somehow, and it's great to reconnect after being in the pandemic and doing these Zoom meetings. I mean, yes, I'm meeting you today, but I can't wait for you to come out to a show so we can actually connect. You know?
yeah. It's different. It's different when you get to like do that face to face interaction. And
Yeah.
even just to like meet someone in person. Like I've interviewed so many people now, and like when I meet them in person for the first time, even though like we've only talked on Zoom or on Instagram a bit, when I meet them, I feel like they're my friends already, and then it's just like you've formed this closer bond because it's just like that human to human interaction that's different. You know, like
Yeah.
it's like kind of like if you watch a comedy special on Netflix, it's different than if you were actually there live. Or the same thing with a
Yeah.
concert on YouTube. It's different if you're there live. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
who are some of the, if you have any comedians that you have that you draw inspiration from, or that you admire or have admired growing up?
I think when I was super young, I remember, I mean, I didn't have cable, so it was hard for me to kind of see that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But I remember Seinfeld would come on after the news, and I would always like that in the beginning of the show, he would have like one little clip of where he was on stage, and he would start it off with, it would usually be like a one liner kind of thing, and then it would get into the show. And so that kind of first got, caught my, like, oh my god, that's so funny, that looks fun. And then as far as since then, I mean, if I was able to catch a comedy special or anything like that, well, not really comedy special, like recently, like Betty White just passed. She was one of my inspirations. She just, man, that lady was so silly. I know, R.I.P.
She's my
Um,
queen. She's literally like she's like an American gem.
yeah, and so I just try to keep up with who's relevant, and then sometimes I catch myself finding people online that maybe don't have a special or are not on TV, but they're doing something locally in their area, and man, there's a lot of talent out there, and so recently I've been able to travel and get to meet people that are doing things, and so really I'm inspired by everybody around me that is still doing it and writing. It's so important to continue to work on your craft. I feel like I'm a forever student. I know you said like, oh, I would go and I was learning when I was doing the open mic, but even now, I still go to open mics and try to talk to other comics or even the business owners just to learn more about the industry and how to go about it. And really, me, yes, I am a comedian, but I'm a producer, and I really like to try to create events where we can bring entertainment. So I'm working on a few projects. I know you said that this probably won't air until like this the late spring or summer. Um, but right now, I am producing a show downtown at the Exchange, and so there I'm able to bring in like local comedians, and then since I've been traveling lately, I've been able to meet comedians in Austin and San Antonio, Laredo, and I even went to Vegas, and so it's nice to be able to bring people down to come visit Corpus, and so
Yeah, and that's why I started the podcast called The Local Influencers, and I wanted to focus heavily on Coastal Bend area. And that was my first couple seasons, and then I opened it up to San Antonio and the Valley because they're close, our neighbors. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna
yeah,
do Texas because I'm like local doesn't mean you have to be locally here. It's whatever you're doing in your
yeah,
local community, wherever you are. And so, like you said, and it's like an ongoing like education doesn't ever stop whenever you love something. You always have
and it
people should
changed.
it evolves, and
Yeah,
you if
yeah,
you stop learning or you stop or you don't have the willingness to learn, you're going to plateau and you're not going to be relevant, right? You have to kind of move with the
yeah.
times. And I've learned that with my podcasting and my writing. I've published 4 books and getting, and that craft never stops. Like I'm always, every book, I find myself getting better and better. And every podcast, I find myself, it goes smoother and smoother. But it's because I listen to podcasts almost on a daily basis. I listen to audiobooks. I read so much on my free time whenever I have free time, and and just doing things like that is kind of like you. Like when I went to Portland, Oregon, a few years ago, and I met with just a bunch of writers, and in, you surround yourself with creativity, and that's what it's a good thing. So
Yeah.
I like that you said that you're not only a comedian, but you're also getting into producing like events and creating these things. So, can you talk a little bit about the business aspect of it? Because even though, being a comedian is like in the entertainment industry, a lot of people wouldn't think that there is a business side of it. Like, you do have to, you have to have a brand. I see you wearing merch.
Yeah.
You're wearing your merch. Plug your merch, girl. So you're wearing your merch. There is everything that we all do. We all have to brand ourselves in some way, and that's a business part. So, can you speak to a little bit about what you've learned about marketing yourself and your brand, and how that has evolved?
Well, okay. So when I got back into going into the open mics and attending comedy shows, it was around 2017. I was so lucky because I was helping a friend of mine that was doing the monthly comedy show at the Exchange downtown. His name is Max Richards, and he was actually moving away. He was moving to Houston, and he's doing comedy up there now. So he kind of like did like a handoff, like, um, I'm leaving. The exchange is still a really great spot downtown for local artists to come, and they usually have like jam night, and they're such cool dudes. Those owners. Shout out to Dave and Hank and all those guys out there. They allowed us to take space because when we do comedy, we have to turn everything off. We're like, dude, turn off all the music, unplug all your instruments, and that place is like they're always jamming out. And so they allowed us to go in there and use the space for comedy. So um, you're right. It does take a lot of branding, a lot of marketing and advertising. And luckily, we have a really good comedy scene going on in Corpus right now. I have my friend Brandon Dolly. He comes out all the way from Kingsville and helps me um, meet other comedians that are working, comics that are traveling, and we bring them in and try to give them some time to get their name out there. And then, sure enough, a lot of the comedians that come through here, they end up going on bigger stages or getting going on tour, opening for other headliners and things like that. So it's just a really great venue for artists, comedians and musicians and all kinds. They just welcome everybody to come out and use their stage and use their platform. And so I've just been so lucky. So then what I did was I didn't create. Tina La Cochina is actually a nickname given to me when I was super young, because I do have a birthmark on my face. I'm wearing makeup right now, but I have a birthmark on my face and it does look like dirt. And so I do look dirty. And so when I was young, I guess it was kind of like a bully thing, but then it's a nickname, it rhymes. And so it caught on. And most of my friends, hopefully, are calling me that out of terms of endearment. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, and it's funny. And so it just goes, I feel like it goes with my personality. My mom's like, Cochina, come on. But I'm like, Mom, the rumors are true. Okay. So she, my family and my friends, they support me. I've along the way, my uh, people that I've met, coworkers and fans, they ended up turning into friends, and all my comedy family, we just support each other, and it's just such a great. Here in Corpus, there's a scene for it. There's a community for it, and so we welcome people to try open mic. I look for businesses and venues that are willing to, have an event there where I can include, comedy or open mic. And so that's pretty much what we're doing. Brandon Dolly started a Corpus Collective. And so really it's a lot of us entertainers and comics that come together and really try to support other local businesses. And so just a few weeks ago, I got with a couple of business owners and I ended up helping them do like a ribbon cutting or an open house just to promote their business. And so we start to bring in traffic and letting people know that, they're back open and businesses open and come support local. So that's really what we've been doing for these last, I mean, through the pandemic, because we've been doing like Zoom comedy, and it's hard. It's so hard to have not a real life audience to laugh, or have a
Yeah.
reaction. So we found other ways to get out there and get in front of people and help along the way. So it's been nice. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
it's interesting how like we talked about having to continue to evolve. It's interesting how the pandemic has challenged like entertainers and small business owners. Like everyone's kind of had to adjust to the pandemic. And like I've interviewed a couple of local drag queens and a drag king, and they've had to do like online streaming shows instead of like a live drag show. Or I know one a small business owner that I interviewed, she does like these big elaborate like setups for like birthday parties and stuff, and they started doing like decorating doors and stuff for birthdays, that way the people could still like have that moment for a birthday celebration. But it's just like event planning, so it's just weird how like they all, comedy, drag artists, entertainment, and small business owners, everyone's kind of had to like evolve to this pandemic that we're in.
Yeah.
But it's just something that we all have to continue to do. And I think in the long run though, it'll only make you and everyone else better, because you're gonna be like, girl, I went through that. Like, I can I can get through something else, you
Yeah.
know. And
I've just been so lucky because like you people like that reach out and try to say, "Hey, let's work together." Hey, what are you working on? Let's bring it to light. I've been lucky. Two main venues is like, have you been to Mesquite Street Pizza or Sal's Bronx Pizza?
Mesquite Street,
Those
yes,
Yes, so both of
yes.
those places, man, they're really the only 2 places in Corpus that are doing comedy, so I've just been so lucky to be able to work with those 2 venues, and then, of course, my residence at the Exchange, and of course, getting invited, like, with people like you that are willing to, local supporting local, so I appreciate you, Abel.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you. And before we wrap, where can people find you, like social media? If you have a website, if you have a YouTube channel, now's the time to share that information with our listeners.
Okay, I think the fastest way to check me out is social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My handle is Tina underscore La Cochina. And then my website is tinalacochina.com.
Awesome. And I will have the links to all of that in the show notes. So if you're listening on your phone, all you'll have to do is scroll down and click on the link, and it will take you directly to those links. Tina, again, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I look forward to being able to attend one of your shows live, hopefully soon. And that'd be a lot of fun.
Well,
And
well, when is this going to air? You said May,
not,
June, July, somewhere around
yeah,
there?
yes.
Okay.
So
Well, the last Tuesday of the month. So if this airs in May, June, it'll be June 28th or July 26th. Just look at the last Tuesday and you come out or check out the website. Yeah. Follow me on Insta or Facebook.
definitely. So we will
But
definitely,
come.
yes, need to. I definitely want to and take up some friends and have a good time and escape reality for a bit. So,
Yeah.
yeah, again, thank you so much for chatting with me. And to our listeners, wherever you are listening, please head out into your community, make a positive change, and do some good. Until next time, guys, have a great day.